Alrighty, guys, we're back here with Ricky, Riff, and Chris, and myself. Curtis is the host, producer, and Beto in the back.
How many podcasts deep are we at this point?
We are episode 12.
12 deep.
12.
Wow.
I know, the weeks go by fast.
Wow.
Because, I mean, we've been running them every, 2 weeks now?
Yeah.
So,
it's the worst part of my week. No, I love it.
All right, so, guys, we're going to go into our first topic. We're going to go on how we film in public without angering or invading privacy.
This is an interesting one. We have a funny little story to start this, and kind of where this topic came from. Were you with us when the story I'm about to tell happened? You will know if
I'm not sure.
Okay, then that means you probably weren't there. It just got brought up because it's been a while since somebody kind of questioned us about filming or said something, but randomly we were just walking at the swap meet, and this dude, probably a little bit older too, was like, "Hey, how do you do that in public without people getting mad at you?" And I was like, "Do what?" And he's like, "Film." I'm like, "Oh, I don't know. We just do it. We're cool with everybody here. Like, we're nice. Like, we kind of don't, we're not pushy with people. Like, if they don't want to be on camera, we're like, no worries." And he's like, "Well, I used to study law and it's not legal." And I was like, and I can show you one simple, quick Google search to tell you that it is legal to film in any public place.
My favorite part when he was like, "I was 42 years ago in law." Like he knew the knowledge to the day, but it was like 42 years ago is like his knowledge back to what he knew. So I'm like,
I always find that crazy when people do that. You're being filmed all the time when you walk around. I was walking down the street today, and there's cameras all over houses, everywhere. Yeah. You're being filmed constantly in stores.
In this modern day and age, we're pretty much just be aware. Now, again, I want to make it very clear that we're allowed to film in public places, even if you watch like these videos that, in your YouTube feed where people are like, "You can't film me. You can't film. Call the cops." The cops show up, and the cops are like, "You're in public? He can film you all he wants." Now, again, that doesn't mean we're going to be jerks about it. If someone is ever questioning us like, "Hey, I don't really want to be on camera," anything like that, we immediately stop. We're like, "No worries. Don't even," it's not like I'm like, "No, dude, I'm a YouTuber. I'm filming you no matter what, man. I got you on camera, bro." It's like, I'll do it, but if you ask me not to, completely okay. I won't do it.
How often would you say that actually has happened within your career of just doing YouTube?
First of all, thank you for calling it a career. Second, Ricky, what was your thought beyond that?
There's actually a couple vendors even still now that don't want us to film them, but they're cool with us. They're like, "Oh, you can film my stuff, just don't film my face. I don't want
Asian
people to know." Yes,
yes,
that's exactly what I was thinking of.
The one who's, just be honest, the one who kind of is overpriced. Sometimes he has like comic stuff at Golden West.
Some Garbage Pail Kids stuff.
Yeah, he's had some great stuff.
He's been a super nice guy.
Yeah.
Another one we had, remember the guy at Riverside who we used to buy from all the time?
Oh, yeah, he really didn't want his face on there.
And then one day out of nowhere, like we bought from him all the time. And out of nowhere one day, press play on that. Sorry, for anyone who's an audio listener, we have a beautiful
blue screen.
Tales from the Crypt playing in the background because it is spooky season for us upon this time.
It'll be Halloween.
One day we showed up and we've always filmed there, always bought stuff. And one day he was just like, "I don't want you guys filming anymore. You guys never buy anything, blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, first of all, we do. Second of all, okay, like we'll totally respect that. But like weird out of nowhere, he was just like, maybe he like saw a video and didn't like it. Or I don't know what the reasoning behind it was, but
that's literally what he said. Like we weren't buying stuff from. We were spending like $50 on his booth every time.
And for us back then, that was a lot of money. That's when we were broke.
Now I get asked like in my stores if people want to film because it is a private place.
Completely.
So I could say in my stores, no, we don't want filming. I actually always allow filming. People want to come down and film. I'm like, yeah, go ahead. But out in the open, I've never understood like why people think that's not legal.
Yeah.
Because it really is just the First Amendment.
Yeah.
Totally. Let's go, bro.
Yeah.
Are you trying to get me to cry again about some America related? You got me last time.
USA, USA, USA. Yeah, that was perfect. But I think what's great about that is that Golden West, being that it is a public school and a flea market is a public place to go, I mean, there's not really any gray area around that, right?
No,
it's an open space. There's many of people. There's only a way where you can like really define a face, like oh, that's them. But it's like, you're in a public place. You're just gonna expect to be filmed.
Totally.
Like there's security cameras, like you said. But I mean, in the gray area comes around is like the reasonable expectation of privacy, right?
Totally.
So that meaning that you don't want to chase somebody into the bathroom at Golden West, which I wouldn't at that bathroom. That is the worst smelling bathroom I've ever had.
That is pretty bad.
It smells like Gabbo's been in there pooping for a month.
It smells like somebody's just rubbing poop on the wall and just writing their name. And
which you'd be surprised when Ricky and I used to work at In-N-Out. There was one day when I was told to clean the bathroom, and it literally looked like somebody was drawing on the walls with their crap. And I was like, who does? It was probably like messed up homeless person who wasn't in the right state of mind. But what I wanted to ask you, and again, about what you said about the reasonable expectation is, of course, if I ever start recording and I can even see like some hesitancy or they're not fully down, it's like, dude, don't worry, I'm not going to film. Like, I'm not going to make you feel like you need to be any part of my YouTube world. Yeah. I was going to ask you, do you like it when people want to film your store, or do you not? Because there's some store owners who are like, I don't know, it's a little weird. And then there's some store owners who are like, heck yeah, free promotion.
Oh, I love it. Yeah,
okay.
And you guys have filmed many times, and I've had, of course, Rick and Caleb film, and then I'll just get random like messages every once in a while. You know, do you mind if I come down and film? And I'm like, yeah, by all means.
Sick.
Go ahead. So I do.
Have you ever had anyone film and then like you watch the video and it wasn't in a good light, or it's always been in a good light?
I think it's always been in a good light. I haven't had anything bad yet.
He started smirking when he says it. Pretty much always in a good light.
Yeah, he just dusted off his shoulder like that was nothing. But I would say,
but I haven't had a bad one. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that would suck if somebody came down and like really hammered you.
Yeah,
you know, then you'd be like, oh, what the heck?
Yeah,
maybe I'd think twice about it. But no, I have not.
What has been your best approach when going to like a store that's not like a game store, but more of like a Savers or a Goodwill? Like, what would you kind of go about it?
So those ones are funky because it's not the same, because if you call the front desk, the store, you're just going to get some random guy who's like, I don't know. And you go to their manager and they're like, I don't. Those ones I just kind of go in low key and don't like, I'm not really using it for any sort of interaction with people at all. It's almost like I'm able to tell the story later, and here's the footage that I can use of like me walking, you know, in the store, me actually looking at the games, because there was a very big time on YouTube where it was video proof or it doesn't exist. And that was a huge thing. I just left Goodwill and I got all this. Oh, huge in the collecting world. Prove you got it. Because in reality, Ricky and I could every weekend, if we wanted to, fill up our bags with stuff at home.
Wait, you don't do that?
Only on Saturdays. No. And then show up and then walk out of a booth. All right, Ricky, open it out of your backpack. Dude, I just got Hagane, $10. Shit, it wasn't on camera. I didn't want to be weird. Wasn't, but I did. So there was a period of time during that where you almost like had to kind of film to prove it. But I don't know. I think a lot of it, of filming in public, is so much about your approach to people. And I think that's really what goes with anything in the world, with sales, with marketing, with conversations. What is happening on the screen behind us? If you go in there, if you go on screen, not on screen. Wow, my brain isn't working now. If you walk up to a place already with like a certain demeanor, smiling, being kind, having like a nice conversation, showing love, showing respect, hey, how are you? Kind of soft tone. I think that leads much more into being able to do it versus walking in. And I will say, in the day and age of TikTok and that kind of stuff, of maybe being a little more like, what's the word? Maybe like pushy cringe, like immediately walking like, yo, I'm here at the swap meet today with this guy. Yo, what up here? The big deal. Shout out to this guy. And they're just like, huh, what? I'm caught off guard. I don't really know where I want to be. You have to go in there with like a level of like respect in order to kind of lead it in.
Yeah, you've also gone to like booths and you're like, hey, I'm going to be filming. Are you okay with this? And like, you want to make sure they have a little bit more consent. Like, you don't need it per se, but you still go out of your way to ask, right?
Yeah.
Like for me, like when I first approached you, and because of the way I work for a public agency, so I don't really like to disclose like my place of work and who I represent. I just wanted to like go up to you like, hey, I'm not really comfortable being on camera, but here's the things that I'm giving you, right?
Yep.
And you were totally cool with that. Like you totally respected that. And there's only a few times that I feel like that's happened when people come with like gifts for you, right?
Yeah, totally. I'm always a little more curious on Ricky's mind though too, because I have like a different personality type than Ricky. Like I'm a little more like, open to extrovert, pushing in a conversation, kind of leading into a conversation. When you ever hold the camera, do you ever feel weird, Ricky? Like,
oh yeah,
with that recording?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it's especially when people start staring at you, I'm like, are these people cool with me doing this?
Got it.
But at the same time,
also, I just realized your mic is like in your chest.
It keeps going down.
Ricky was hoping his boobs would do the talking today.
Please.
Do you guys watch like those first? I think they're called like First Amendment auditors, like on YouTube. Have you ever watched those guys? Mm-hmm. The guys that go around and like film businesses, they walk into like the public places, and basically because it's legal, but they kind of push the boundaries.
They go a little further. Yeah,
I think I know who you're talking about.
They're usually out to kind of pick fights. They'll film the cops a lot. Yeah. I find it pretty entertaining. I actually watch that a lot.
It's good entertainment, but I would say it goes kind of borderline harassment to a point. But I mean, like it's perfectly in their right.
It is, but they're making a pretty stance point, which is what we're talking about, which is I can film you in public. I can walk into a town hall, a city hall. I can film you. I can walk around. I can film the cops. A lot of times the cops don't want to be filmed. They're like, you can't film me. And then they're like, no,
but
I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And dang it.
So they kind of take what we're talking about to like the extreme. And it is usually a lot of confrontational stuff, which makes it entertaining to watch.
I'm not such a big fan of the mindset of like, well, because I can. Right? Like the entitlement of because I can. Like, yes, I can film everybody doesn't mean I'm going to go film people who don't want to be filmed just because they don't want to be filmed. Right? And I see that a lot like with cop stuff too. You know, people are like, well, I don't have to do this. And I'm like, how long until they get beat? You know?
I would say just for like the purposes of what they're trying to get across is the First Amendment. Basically, I can film in public. But I mean, I get what you're saying. They're both used in different terms and references, right? So like yours is for YouTube. Theirs is also for YouTube, but theirs is for like reactionary.
I get it totally. And like I'm a big believer in the Second Amendment, but that doesn't mean I'm going to walk into a place and be like, look at I gotta get just because I can. Like, check it out, people. Like I don't need to do that, right? Just because things are legal or allowed, there's a right way and a respectful way, which is only going to make your side look worse if you're going around showboating like an idiot. And the same goes for YouTubers, which is I kind of always hated that word because even Retro Rick and I, that's our big joke. Every time we're like, hey, dude, we're YouTubers. We like do the duck lips and like vlog. We're like, what's up, guys? It's Hell Day. Like, everybody look at me. Like, I like more like the American Picker aspect of like documenting what we do versus like the I'm a YouTuber look. If anything, I low key hate that word YouTuber, but it is what it is. I get that that's what goes along with the territory.
Now, I've been on the tail end side of this and seen it firsthand. Has there ever been an event or a place where you've been filming and somewhere like you got kicked out at? Jeez.
What?
I mean, we didn't get kicked out, but it's like the first time we actually got yelled at. Do you remember Andy was filming for us?
Yes, but he loves to push boundaries. He loves to push boundaries.
Can you go into details on that or no?
Sure. Go ahead, Ricky. If you remember, I remember. If you don't.
Go ahead. You're a good storyteller. I like it.
No, we were just out OCC, and our buddy Andy, he's one of those guys, loving it to death. He's one of my best friends in the world, but he's like, I'll push your buttons if I need to kind of guy. He's a man's man by all means. And we were at the swap meet, and we were just filming in this booth, and he was just sitting. That's just how he is. The guy's like, excuse me, I don't want you filming here. And he like puts the camera. He's like, why? Is this stuff all stolen? Is this all illegal stuff? And the guy's like, please stop. And he's like, I need you guys to get out of here. And I'm like, Andy, it's okay, bro. It's okay. Oh, no. Like, you don't have to pressure the guy. That's not my style per se. But there's even like our friend Roscoe.
Oh, that's true.
He's a little more pushy too with like filming and kind of like pushing people. It's not my style per se. I get it that it's allowed to happen. So people do it. But as far as being like actually kicked, we almost got kicked out of Frankensons one of our first times being there. Or maybe you weren't there at the time. I was filming.
Yeah.
And they were like, hey, we need to call security, blah, 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 blah. Funny enough, that's kind of when we found out that they watched our show. They came over and like, oh, no, let these guys film. Like, we want their promotion. Like, these guys are, good for this event. Like, we want more people, them to be filming.
Dang, imagine if they didn't know you, dude. You just get out on the street, dude.
Yeah, get out of the street. I mean, hey, I accept it. I'll be the first to say I never want to feel like, give me visitation rights or the reasoning to do this stuff because I'm a YouTube guy. I don't like that. I like the more like approach of like, hello, I have a show and nice to meet you and hopefully you like what we do and it's okay if we can't film, but we'll do it,
Are conventions considered public space?
That's a good question. I don't know.
I would say that it's a public event, but you're paying for tickets. So unless you have signs posted, it's a gray area, right? That there's filming going on.
Like, I think you could put up signs, right?
Yeah.
That says no filming allowed.
Probably, but I feel like in a convention, like it's like probably impossible.
Yeah, like it's generally considered public space.
Like I feel like everybody in there who's not even a TikTok or YouTuber or anything is going to be filming.
I don't know, because I mean, like if you think about you're buying tickets to go to an event, I mean, I know it's like per se, you would say like, hey, yeah, you're in public, you're doing this thing, but you're also on private property and you would still need that technical approval or you'd have to put signs that posted like filming is taking place and, you will be filmed, right?
Yeah.
Because in what is it? Professional sports, they don't like filming. Like when you're out and you're at like an NBA game and you're filming and vlogging, they don't like that stuff.
Right. And I think there's certain artists, I can't think, maybe it's Tool or one of them that will not allow you to film at the concert.
What a tool.
I love Tool too.
I will say though, before the last thing is like, even if I had an event where I didn't want people to film, I also realize you have to realize what day and age we're in. People at this point could have hats that film, glasses that film, contacts that film, nose rings that film. Like it's getting there to where people can pretty much film anything at this point. It's almost near impossible to stop. Doesn't mean you can't try to, legitimacy remove some of that from where you don't want it, but it's just kind of here.
Well, the one instance that I was actually referring to is when we were buying those NES games from Ben. We were just in the parking lot. Remember that?
Yeah.
All of us were involved in that.
I forgot
Security kicked us
security
out.
did. That's right.
Yeah.
Yo, who wants to tell the story? Christopher.
Yeah, we were just down the road from Golden West.
Yeah.
We were at, it was a retail plaza.
Plaza? Where are you from?
Plaza.
East Coast right there.
East Coast.
Those plazas.
It sounded right to me.
Definitely wrong to me.
Yeah.
So we were at a plaza, and which I guess technically is private property. But you are outdoors.
It was outdoors. That's public
outdoors.
property.
I feel like that was public property.
That's for sure public
And we were
property.
just filming. There was nobody around. Ben had opened up the trunk of his car, and we were looking at NES games. All of a sudden, Rent-A-Cop came over on the...
Be respectful, Chris. Paul Blart
came over.
on the golf cart and was like, "Oh, you guys can't do that. You can't be here." And we were like, "We're just filming. There's nobody around. Like,
We're not
there was
buying
literally
anything, no
nobody there."
services.
And he called it in. Then the supervisor came over, and she was like, "You can't be here. You can't do that.
You need a permit."
You're right. Need a permit. I think they ended up giving us 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Right. We
Yeah.
begged and pleaded and said, "We're just going to be here for a minute." And then we ended up going across the street.
Well, what's funny is there was someone washing a car.
I was
Yeah,
going to
the
say that.
detail
No,
guy.
go ahead.
There was you talk. I talk too much.
So there was literally like a dude with his like personal business just washing cars in the parking lot, not even 30 feet from us. And we're like, what about them? Oh no, they're good. They're good. I'm like, how?
Yeah, we were like, "Do they have a permit to be washing
That's what you
cars?"
said. Did they have a permit? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, no, you're just saying that now at this point. They're just used to pulling up and doing it. I mean, oh gosh, I could go down a bad wormhole with this, but I won't.
I know what you're going to say.
The thing
I don't want to
was-
get in trouble, but I will say all my business where I make money, I pay taxes on. I don't get to set up on the side of the road and make money and not pay I get it. There's different situations. I'm not talking hate, but I'm just saying it should be if I have to do my due diligence to get a permit to sell and make money, so should everyone else in the world who gets just to set up around the world and make money for no reason.
Yeah. And I think that the biggest takeaway from this was there was no place of business taking course there. Right, so it was just an empty building, and then we were just in the parking lot of that empty building.
Yeah.
So then, when them approaching us, it was like out of their way to make a scene. They were like, "Let's just drive over here in
They
our
wanted to make a
Segways."
scene.
It was pretty ridiculous. Yeah,
Yeah.
again,
Don't say on
because there was-
Segway. Shout out to all our security cops out there. We love you, okay? We love you. And shout out to all the people who do set up and sell things. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just being honest.
But parking meter people, no way.